Hi everybody, and welcome to part 3 of section 5.4. We're finishing up measures of center of triangle. We already talked about medians, we're talking about altitudes now, and we're talking about the concurrency of altitudes theorem. We talked about how this is called the orthocenter, where they meet up, and we're going to get started on how we find the orthocenter on the coordinate plane. One of the two things we have to do is we have to find the point of concurrency of two altitudes. So we need to find out where they meet up. Find the altitude and its point of intersection to side AC. Okay. Now, we have to find, let's see, side AC. So if we're finding the altitude of side AC, this is actually the easiest one. B to AC, this is an altitude, okay? So this one's fairly easy, and it's kind of like a fairly easy process. We have to find the equation of a side. Now, for the first altitude, what should I call it? I'm going to call this X. Okay, so this is point X where it meets up. So BX, we're going to concentrate on this guy first. What's his equation? Well, we could find the slope, and keep in mind that you might need to use the slope formula if you don't remember it. So I'm going to write it down for you. So slope is, let me write it more clearly. We have slope equals, and we have y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we need slope and also a y-intercept. This is the other piece of information we need. Let's go here. And the y-intercept to form a line. The line equation that we are going to be using is the following. I can't decide. This one. No, I disagree. Let me go this one. Y equals mx plus b, okay? Where slope is also known as m. Okay. Just wanted to, this is kind of like some prerequisite information that you need to know, so this is just a refresher. Now, if we wanted to find the slope of bx, we could do that, but we're going to see it's an undefined slope, okay? Meaning we're dividing by 0. It doesn't have any run to it, so it's an undefined slope. Now, it's going to be in the form of x equals something because it's a vertical line. So this is a vertical line, so it has an undefined slope. So x equals what? It's going to be x equals 0. That's all the places where x equals 0. If we're to continue this, you see these points are all 0. This is 0, negative 2. This is 0, negative 3. This is 0, 0 at the origin. It goes through all the points where x equals 0. So we have the equation of a line. Find the altitude and its point of intersection to the side AC. So the point of intersection here is 0, 0. All right. So we got BX pretty much down. It also intersects 0, 4 up at the top. 0, 4. Okay? One altitude down. Now, we also have to find the altitude and its point of intersection to side BC. This is the tough one. Okay, let's use orange. Really don't want to. I'm going to use purple instead. Okay, so I'm going to draw this. And I know it's somewhere in here, but how do I know where that is? Okay, this is tricky. The first thing we got to know is we got to know that this point here is negative 4, 0. Okay, and we're going to call this point Y, this unknown point. We got to find where that is. How do we find where that is? Well, like I said before, we need to find the equation of the line, and we have to find the slope and its y-intercept. So we're going to call this line AY. Okay? AY we're going to call this. Now, how do we find the equation of AY? Well, in order to do that, we have to, oh, I see. I kind of messed up this. I kind of combined, so in BX I kind of did it all in one. I already have the equation of the line. Okay, find equation of the perpendicular line. I already did that. Okay, the equation of a side. So this is a perfect example. We're going to focus on AC because this is the actual process used. Sorry, I kind of jumped the gun on BX. But on AY, this is how you have to find the equation of a side. If we want to find a perpendicular line, remember this line, this altitude, is perpendicular to BC. If we want to find this purple line, perpendicular, this altitude, then we first have to know what is the line BC. What is its slope? What is its y-intercept? Okay, we have to find the equation of that side. So we have to find the side BC first. We have to find that line. Now, that line has an equation of y equals mx plus b. That's our general form. We already know the y-intercept. The y-intercept is 0, 4. Okay, so we know that b equals 4. We got that down. Now we have to find the slope. So if you want, we can label this point over here. This is 4, 0. And we can find the rise and run between b and c. Okay, so to do that, I'm gonna do that just because I think that'd be beneficial for people to see. We're gonna label these 2 points x1, y1, x2, y2. So m, we have 0 minus 4, because that's my y2 minus y1, and then we have 4 minus 0. We get 4, negative 4, sorry, negative, oh God. We have negative 4 over 4. That's going to be equal to negative 1. So now we have our slope. Our slope is negative 1. So now we can plug in those 2 things, and guess what? We already have our equation of our line. We have y equals negative 1x plus 4. Okay? That's a good start. Now, if we're trying to find something that's perpendicular to that, we have to keep in mind the following. That a perpendicular line, so perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, that means we're going to look at this guy, and we need to have the opposite reciprocal. Okay, in order to see opposite reciprocal, I really should change this slope into, sorry, I deleted him a little bit, negative 1 over 1. Okay, that's my opposite reciprocal, or sorry, that's my slope written as a fraction, which makes it a little bit easier to see the opposite reciprocal slope. So let me change the color slightly for this guy. So I know that for my perpendicular line, this is my perpendicular line, aka altitude. Okay, I know my m needs to be the opposite and the reciprocal of that. The reciprocal is easy. 1 over 1 becomes 1 over 1. Okay, we flip that one. And then the negative becomes positive. So we're going to leave it positive. So negative becomes positive, and then we flip the fraction. Okay, so flip fraction, and then we make opposite sign. Make opposite sign. Those 2 things. And now we have our slope for AY. That's pretty cool. The tough part is our y-intercept. Okay, so for our y-intercept, we need to get our equation ready. Y equals, and we have 1x plus b. Now, we don't know what b is. We don't know where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego. No, we don't know where it crosses the y-axis. So we need to find that piece of information out. Okay, where's that information? Well, what we're going to use is we are going to use x and y from the given point. We know that the purple line contains the point negative 4, 0. So we're going to plug that point in to our equation here. Negative 4, 0. The x equaled negative 4. The y equaled 0. We know the slope is 1. And the thing we're trying to solve for is b. We went from 3 variables to only 1 because we plugged in one of the given points in the purple line. We did this a while ago, I think in chapter 3. So this has probably been a while since you guys have seen it. Pretty tough concept. A lot of students struggle with it, but we can still do it. So negative 4, 0. No, that's not the right point. Is that? This point, sorry, I messed this up. This is the negative 3, 0. I wrote it wrong in the first place. I was like, something's not right here. Negative 3, 0. There. That's a little bit better. Sorry about that. You're probably like, oh my gosh, you can't even count. How am I watching this video? We all make mistakes, right? So I get negative 3 plus b. Okay. Now, I'm going to add 3 to both sides. Okay. So I get 3 equals b. And there we go. I have my new equation. My new equation, my purple equation, is going to be y equals, let me write it up closer. Y equals 1x plus 3. So as you can tell, I haven't drawn this line perfectly. I really should change it a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and change it. It really should look like, let me get rid of this. Okay, it really should look like that, because it needs to intersect at 0, 3. Okay, now I have this equation, ay, and I have this equation for BC. Okay, and those are both altitude. This is an altitude, and this is an altitude. So what do we do from here? So, oh, sorry, perpendicular line. This probably should get placed down here. If you already wrote it down, whatever. I'm so sorry. Yeah, whatever. I'll just leave it. I'll put C above. C above. And I'll go ahead and write it down here again. Oops. This one wasn't an altitude, was it? I'm so sorry. That's not the altitude. This is the altitude. Let me erase this. That was the side. Yeah, 2 mistakes. All right, no more. This is an altitude, and then the other one's an altitude. Okay, got it. Y equals 1x plus 3. So we have our 2 altitudes there. Now we have to find the intersection. Now this part usually you have to use, need to use systems of equations, okay? Well, actually always. You'll need to use a system of equations. You will need to use systems of equations, okay? For intersections, you'll have to do that. But this one's pretty easy just because we can use substitution and it's pretty easy. You can even see the point of intersection there. So we have y equals 1x plus 3. When you have 2 equations like this, a lot of times you can use substitution, meaning you can plug in the value of 1 and for the other equation, so we can replace x here. And we're going to rewrite the equation with our new value, and you'll have 1 variable remaining when you do that, plus 3. So then I have a 0 in here, and then I just solve for y. So then I get y equals 0 plus 3, y equals 3. Okay? Now, where's my point of intersection? Well, it's always going to be an x and a y, so my point of intersection here is 0, 3. And that's where my orthocenter is. So that's how you do it, okay? You have to find the equation of the opposite side, you find the equation of the perpendicular line, that's going to be your altitude, and then you find the intersection between those 2 lines, because you have to do at least 2 altitudes. Okay, we're going to try to do this one a little quicker. Okay, I'm going to take some shortcuts, so bear with me here. Look at this nice little example too that I drew. So over here with this one, we have orthocenter of triangle ABC. All right, so let's take a look at this guy. With triangle ABC, we have these points, so I'm going to make an altitude here. Okay, this one, you always want to try to find horizontal or vertical lines that you can use. So this one's pretty easy because we have a horizontal line. Okay, horizontal lines have the equation of y equals something. So the vertical line is always going to be in the form of x equals a number. Okay, so this is on the point 1,4. Okay, this purple spot, this altitude is on the point 1,4. This one we don't have to find the equation of the opposite side. Okay, because y equals a number. Okay, y equals 0 is going to be perpendicular to x equals a number. Or x equals, in this case, it's x equals 1. So we already have one of our equations. So our first altitude equation is x equals 1. We got our first one done. Now we just need one more. Which one should we use? Well, I think the altitude here is going to be a little bit easier. So I'm going to draw this altitude like this. And now I have no clue. This one's not apparent to me where it's going to be. That's my intersection. That's going to be my orthocenter. Now, in order to find that green altitude, okay, this one's not going to be a horizontal or vertical line, so I know it's going to be y equals mx plus b. My m needs to be the opposite reciprocal of side AB. Or not AB, sorry, BC. Okay, it has to be the opposite reciprocal of side BC. Now, we have to find the slope of BC, and I think it's the same. It's the same. So the slope of BC, if you calculate it using the slope, I'm just going to count riser 1. So just to show you what I'm doing, I go, where's my laser pointer? There it is. I go down 1, 2, 3, 4 from B over 1, 2, 3, 4 to C. So I go down 4 over 4. My slope here is -4 over 4 or -1. So my opposite reciprocal is going to be the same thing. I'm going to, so I can make it +4 over -4, or sorry, +4 over +4. So my m is going to be +1 over 1 or just 1. Okay, so I already have my altitude, and actually my y-intercept is going to be easy too. So now I have to find my y-intercept. Now, you can obviously it crosses at 0, 0, but I'm just show you how, just in case you get something complicated. So I have y equals, I'm going to plug in my slope, 1x plus b. Well, I know it goes through which point. This green line touches a point. You're always going to type in, or sorry, plug in that given point, and that is 0, 0, into your equation to eliminate two variables, not eliminate, but substitute two variables so you're only left with one. We're going to try to be solving for b. Okay, so we don't want so many variables around. So I plug in 0 for y, 0 for x, and then I solve for b. Okay, that's the guy I want to solve for. Equals 1 and then plus. So that equals 0 plus b. And as you guys probably saw, we have a y-intercept of 0. Okay, so now I have my whole equation. I'm going to plug in my known values. Y equals 1x plus 0, or y equals 1x. Now that I have my two altitudes, so here's one altitude, here's two altitudes, you find the equation. And often you'll have to use a system of equations to find the altitude. In this case, it's a very easy system of equations because x is already solved. So we're just going to plug in this value of x in for x and then go from there. So we have y equals 1, and I'm going to put in 1 for x because we already know that value. So we get y equals 1. We have our y, we have our x, so now we have our point of intersection, x comma y, aka 1 comma 1. And that's our final answer. That's where the orthocenter is. And it looks like I messed up the line again. How many times am I going to mess this up? Right here. It goes through here. So I know that I can draw my line a little bit better, connect those 2 points. And there's my orthocenter. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. At least you got to see a lot of things here. Slope, finding the equation of a line, finding perpendicular lines, finding the orthocenter, using system of equation. Lots of things in this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Wes Explains Best.